you are set, sir. Ben, you got him, Ben?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, great. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll start at 6:05 p.m. Start with the roll call. Alderman Donahue's here. Alderman Bilotto.
Here.
Alderman Klinker.
Here.
Alderman Johnson.
Here.
And Alderman Alexander. Alderman Alexander's not here. All right. Moving on, we have public comment. I didn't receive any emails, but I did receive one text. It's from Alderman Nancy Rita. Alderman Rita's question was in regards to the Edison Street resurfacing project discussed in municipal services meeting last week. There was money appropriated for roads in a separate line item. Are the funds still available in the general fund for this project? Topeka, do you know the answer to that question? Topeka?
Kevin, I also want to.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm here. I had my phone unmuted. I'm sorry. So if you could tell me the budget line that's related to, I can tell you right now. If you have the budget line, the account stream.
It would be in Public Works from last year, but I think the question is, did the money carry over from last year?
So money carrying over from last year, I'm not sure about, but as far as like this year's appropriation, if you could tell me the budget line, I would be able to let you know if the money was put there because I've appropriated.
That's not the question. The question is, was money carried over from last year? And is it still in that line item?
So that's what I'm telling you, Kevin. The way that I looked at this appropriation, I'm not sure if anything rolled over because I'm just looking at the appropriation from 2020. So if you could tell me the budget line, then I can let you know what the funds are looking like.
Okay. It's going to be Public Works and street resurfacing.
Okay, cool.
I don't have the exact.
Okay, that's okay. I have the appropriations in front of me, so I can get to it pretty quick. Okay. 430. Okay. So we did allocate 554,000 for that one. Let me go look at it real quick. Yes, so we have $554,000 in that budget line for 2020. So if she's talking about expenses going forward, then we have money in that line. And we haven't touched any of it. It's still sitting there.
So the question is, was the $250,000 that was appropriated for in 2019, was that carried over to 2020 is the question.
That's what I'm telling you. I don't know. I see that you all had it, $213,000 appropriated. Now, I don't know if this new appropriation dollar amount of 554 is a combination of the two because I didn't put it like that. It's just $1 amount to me.
So could you look into that and get back to Alderman Rita tomorrow, please?
Sure.
I have a
can.
question. Alderman Donahue, I got a question. Maybe Eric or somebody. Didn't this project already start?
Yes, Alderman Bilotto, this project is started. The concrete work is about complete, and I think they've started stabilization and grinding this week. So construction of this project is underway. And my understanding is that the money was carried over from last year. I remember working this out with Treasurer Bilotto and Mark Miller before the appropriations. That's my understanding. I don't actually see the numbers going in right now.
Yeah, I can look into that for you. It's no problem.
All right. Well, so hopefully, Topeka, if you could get that to her tomorrow, please. Thank you.
Sure. I should be able to. That's no problem.
All right, moving on. We have, first up is 3A, the quarterly expense report. I know Topeka sent that out to everyone. Are there any questions from the committee about the quarterly expense report?
Yeah, Jim Klinker here. And maybe,
Go ahead, Alderman.
maybe Chief Rita can help me out with this. We were talking about this the other night during public health and safety. There appears to be some like negative items, and there's some items that were actually last year's expenses that Chief thinks are listed this year, correct, Chief?
Yeah, that's what actually when Topeka had sent that out to us, I was reviewing it, in light of everything that's going on, and noticed that the first thing that jumped out to me was our line item for training. We were only allocated $1,000 for the year 2000, or for this year. We spent that 2,000 in November of last year, and it showed up on this year as we spent it. So we're already showing 1,000 as a negative balance of 1,000. So I did some more checking, and I sent a large document to Topeka that questioned at least my line items and just how they were, posted. And it looks like there was a lot of stuff towards the end of the year that ended up being posted to this year's budget. So we're already over in quite a few line items, or close to being over. And I think that some of that should have been put on last year's budget or appropriations.
So thank you for bringing that up, Alderman Klinker. So Chief Rita, I actually got an update from Smart Fusion on Friday as it relates to expenses for 2019. And we're actually not going to be able to reclass those to last year. We actually just found that out at like 4 p.m. on Friday. So I don't think that there will be anything that I could do to reduce the negative as far as those are concerned. And I really don't know. I asked the AP clerk to let me know when they actually closed the books for 2019 so that we could know going forward. We could try to get everything in more timely. But as far as reclassing 2019 expenses, 2020 is the things that came in, we won't be able to do it. So some of those items are actually going to stay.
Okay, so just another quick question on it. Is there a way that we could possibly like pick through those and denote which ones are over already? I mean, I did the same thing back when I was fire chief, and I know that it happened then too, because you're still getting bills in January from last year, and there was a certain cutoff point that we had to have everything in. So I feel for Chief here, and I'm sure there's other departments too, because I saw a few other ones that had minus numbers too. So is there a way that you can
that's kind of like my stance. If we know in the future when the AP is going to close for the prior year, then we can inform the department heads of getting their expenses in. Otherwise, we're going to run into this issue every year. So I asked her to just follow up, because like I said, Chief Rita, that's why I hadn't said anything to you yet, because we just found out that you won't be able to reclass them. And so before I talk to you, I wanted to know what the date is for, closing the book, so that I can let everybody know going forward, kind of how that timeline is going to lay out for future periods.
Sure. And I can appreciate that. And it is, like I said, I'm only solely speaking for me, but, that obviously, and I guess I'm looking for direction from the finance, how we want to approach it, because like I said, we're not going to be able to do, I know we can come back to you guys, but in light of everything that's going on, I mean, we're already under financial constraints. Now this happens, and now we're even farther behind. So, I mean, I guess going forward, how are we going to continue down the path that we were going, as far as coming to you guys and asking every time we needed something where we're over? Because like I said, we're over in quite a few, we're close to it. So is that how we're going to proceed for 2020?
Can you
So
repeat
if
the
I
last
may
part of that?
interject, I was
Sorry.
actually going to recommend to the committee that we should impose some thresholds maybe for consideration. So maybe like 1,000 to 3,000, then you can talk it over with me. If it goes from 3,000 to 5,000, then maybe myself and the treasurer, and then things above 5,000, then we bring it to the committee for approval. But that's just a proposal. I just kind of mulling it over in my head, so that we can have like a clearer layout of what's actually being expensed, especially for the things that are higher dollar amount.
So real quick, one more question I have. Is there any way that now we can go back or someone can go back and denote which expenses were from last year that are listed on this year's so that in the future,
Yes.
when
Yes.
Chief Rita comes to us and says, I want to do training, that 2,000 was last year's, we know that 2,000 was last year's. Does that?
Yes. The AP clerk told me that we're able to do that. So
might not
we'd be
to-
able.
If I may interject, Annette Alexander's in the room now.
I just saw, thank you. I'll note it.
You might not be able to, actually do it in Smart Fusion, but if there was a way that we could
Right.
even do a spreadsheet of that for each department,
Yeah.
so that when these guys start going over, like Chief's saying, he's already over, it's only April, we know that it was because of that problem. Does that make sense?
Right, absolutely. And I do think that we have the functionality to actually do that in Smart Fusion as well.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And one more thing, I noticed that you had a comment about negative. So as Chief Rita stated, I'm actually working with the AP clerk, and we're reclassifying a lot of expenses because when you approve your budget so far into the fiscal year, you run into issues of people spending money out of accounts where we didn't appropriate money there. And in other instances, she was posting transactions to certain accounts because she was familiar with using those, and we decided not to put money in those line items. So I'm actually working with her to clean those up. So the next time you all see this report, you'll notice that some of the accounts are going to be less negative than they are now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Alderman Klinker. Any other questions from members of the committee?
No.
No? All right, anything else on this? If not, we'll move along to item 3B, which is the full-time hiring freeze resolution, which I sent to members of the committee today. Are there any questions regarding this item?
This is Kerry Horvath. Kevin, did you send it to us?
I didn't. I'll send it. I'm sorry. I'll send it right now.
Alderman Donahue, I'll speak in favor of doing this in light of what we're going through here with possible less revenues coming in. And I would just say if there's positions retiring out for this year that we don't know about, or some that we've known about, or it would just basically, let's freeze everything. I believe in the ordinance, it says it would have to come to committee if there's a need for it. So there's still a way to override it if it was something that was very essential. But it would just be just a freeze to also show concern for the revenues being less, more projectedly less, because of the less sales tax because of the COVID-19. And we're being proactive, and any position before it goes out is vetted through multiple committees.
Yeah, thank you, Alderman. I agree. It's just, and I don't imagine this being a long-term solution. This is just in the short term, just to make sure that we're not hiring people when there could be potential revenues all drying up because of the lack of other revenues, the sales tax, gaming revenues. But if there was an immediate need, there could be some reconsideration in the near future on that. So if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah, this is Alderman Johnson. What if we come into a situation that it needs to be reacted right away on, as maybe something to do with the COVID-19, with the fire, police, or maybe the public works? How do we?
Sure. So thanks, Alderman. In the resolution, it does allow for the Finance Committee to approve a hire outside of the ordinance. So if there was an emergency need, we could still act on it.
Can I ask who prepared? This is Kerry. Who prepared the resolution?
Mark Carlotto with Montana Welch.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not so sure that fits under Legislative Council, but regardless, I have noticed in this year's appropriation that under the aldermanic section, there was no appropriation for Legislative Council. And so in circumstances like this, I'm somewhat concerned that you just decide whenever you decide to just parcel it out without, one, an appropriation, and two, without the determination that this is a matter for legislative council. I'm just positing that for the record right now. And I think that needs to be discussed further by the full city council.
Great, I appreciate that, Mr. City Attorney.
Legislative Council.
I thought it was a matter for the Legislative Council since I am a legislator of the public body, so I sent it to the Legislative Council to be drafted, and I appreciate what Mark put together. So thank you, Mark, for putting that together for us.
And let me just, if I can add something to this, there is money appropriated for legislative council. All the money that is for the general day-to-day under the appropriations ordinance is for general day-to-day, which includes which includes legislative council. So there's an appropriation for our fee. Also, the council can propose legislation just like the mayor can propose legislation. So it's absolutely appropriate for legislative council representing the legislators to prepare legislation in this matter.
So if I understand this is Kerry Horvath. If I understand this correctly, there was no appropriation specifically for legislative council. It was subtly stuck into the appropriation for general legal. Is that the position you're taking, Mark, Mr. Scarlato?
The position I'm taking is that all of that money for general legal is not just for your firm. It's for general legal. Legislative council, which the council is entitled to have, is part of that.
You and I both know, Mark, and we can discuss this later, that there should be a separate and distinct appropriation for legislative council.
What is that based on, Kerry? Based on the fact that you would like
It's
to
based on, Mark, it's based on the law, okay, has been established by the courts of the state of Illinois.
Which
we don't need to have a debate at this point in time. It should be a separate line item in your budget.
If you're going to come in and you're going to make accusations that the work we're doing is not appropriated for, then you should have the law to back it up.
All right, guys.
I've already provided the law to the city council, Mark. Enough said, okay?
Well, I haven't gotten it.
This is
are there any other?
Yeah, this is
Alderman
Alderman Johnson. I think that information should have been shared with Olson and Sturt instead of just one entity that still hadn't shown that they're for the full body of the city council.
Great, thank you. Your opinions noted, Alderman. Are there any other questions? No, is there a motion to approve item 3C? I'm sorry, not item 3C, item 3B, the full-time hiring freeze?
Klinker, I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Alderman Klinker, second by Alderman Bilotto. All in favor of approving this item, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, say nay.
Nay, I think it should be in question that both entities should have that information in order to give us a solid answer.
Great. Thank you, Alderman. Seeing that there was 4 ayes and 1 no, I hereby declare the motion passed. All right. Randy, did you want to make an announcement really quick?
About,
who else is in the room also on here? Because I can't see everybody.
oh, okay, I'm sorry, yeah. In the room, we also have Carol Green, Alan Stevo, and Kimberly Byrne.
Great. Thank you. All right. Next, we have the 2020 sewer maintenance. I have a couple questions on this item. Eric, for Mr. Alvarez, this is just a bid. This work hasn't started yet, correct?
That's correct, Alderman Donahue. This is a bid that we opened approximately 2 weeks ago, and construction has not started yet and would not start until this award recommendation is.
So if this was put off just for a little bit until I have a better idea of where we're sitting with just the city's resources, that would be fine. It's not going to be a life or death situation that this gets put off for 6 months or so.
Well, this is not a life or death situation. This is maintenance for the underground sewers. This is how we find problems with the underground sewer system.
Right.
So, I mean, it could be put off. We typically aim to clean about 5% of the city's sewer per year. So in a 20-year period, all the sewers are inspected because of problems like what developed under 127th Street the year before last, and that's how we catch these. But that's entirely correct. This has not been awarded and does not need to be awarded at this time because construction hasn't started, like in as opposed to Edison and Francisco, which is being worked on at this moment.
Right.
But
all right, but if we hold off on this just for a little bit until we just have a better idea of how COVID-19 is going to impact us, it should be okay, correct?
I mean, that's up to you whether or not to hold off on Alderman Donahue. I would recommend there's about 70% of this project is actually in the TIF districts. If we were to continue that work, at least we're still, maintaining the city's sewers, which is a critical infrastructure in my opinion. I mean,
I have a question, Alderman Donahue.
Go ahead, Alderman Bilotto.
The sewer cleaning, this, I know we do it every year. What's the expiration where we would have to go out and spend money to go out to bid again? And what's a timeline? Can we sit on this without having to go out to bid? Is there a certain amount of days?
I think we have written into the contract that it's a 90-day period. I'm almost positive, but really that is more a question of the contractors still be willing to recognize their prices. So if too much time were to expire or elapse, the contractors contract can, they don't have to honor those bids anymore. But I think it's 90 days to answer your question.
All right, thank you, Eric. Just real quick, Alderman Bilotto, I think we should hold off on this for 6 months to a year and potentially even rebid it, just because I just have concerns with the city's resources right now, revenue-wise, of where we're at. And I know it's essential, the sewer system is essential, but we also need to worry about being able to pay our police and firefighters and our public works employees. So I think if we hold off now, it'll be okay. We went 20 some years without them doing it at all. So that's just my opinion. So I'm going to ask that we table this. If there's any other questions, be happy to hear it.
Can I just add one more point? I'm not sure if, with this Zoom, it's hard to tell if, just as I said, like 70% of this project is actually in the TIF districts, which my understanding, those funds are locked in for this sort of infrastructure and maintenance. So I think I should present to you all that at least the option of going forward with the 70% using restricted funds, and at least we're still, in my opinion, the maintenance of the city's underground infrastructure is pretty important.
So do you have that proposal with you, Mr. Alvarez, or we would have to wait to get that too? Part of our construction contracts allow the owner, the city, to approve select portions of the work, and we do have those areas split out. This project's divided into 3 areas. One of them is in area only funded by the Water and Sewer Fund. The other 2 areas are funded by TIFs 2 and TIF 5. So that's already split out. There's no need to modify. There's nothing. All right. I still would want to just hold off again. I just think we need to be wise and just wait to spend any city resources on something like this. I know it's important, but if we could wait a couple months and just so we have a better idea, I think would probably be the best case scenario.
This is Alderman Johnson. I just got a question for you, Mr. Alvarez. In your expertise, do you foresee anything in the future or the near future of any one of those situations like collapsing or, causing us a major problem?
Well, I mean, the only real way we can tell if, unless there's evidence on the surface that the pipes are collapsing, which sometimes happens. You can see, trenches settling in the road, but a lot of times there's just not. No, the only way to tell is to inspect these sewers with the robot that goes down there with the television, clean them out, and that's the only way you can tell if there is a safety concern. For sure, that's the only way you can tell for sure.
Jim Klinker, I got a question. Eric, is there any, or anyone for that matter, any other expenses that we have coming out of these TIFs that, the money can only be spent in that TIF. So, is there any, I understand your point, Kevin, that we need to, conserve all the money we can, but I'm personally, thinking that 70% that's coming out of a TIF, if we can't spend it on anything but what's in the TIF anyway, it's not going to help us with salaries or anything like that. We might as well just go with that part. That's my point of view on this.
All right, noted. Is there anything else? All right. Is there a motion to approve this item?
You're looking for a motion to approve the whole thing or what?
Whatever I'm voting no. So I'm regardless of what we do. So whatever the committee wants to do.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion that we pay this. We go ahead and do the 70% that's being paid by the two TIFs. Since we can't use that money elsewhere for, salaries or any of that kind of stuff anyway, why not at least progress somewhat and try and be a little proactive? These are old, obviously. So that's my motion.
All right. Was there a second for Alderman Klinker's motion?
I'll second it.
Good night.
All right. All those in favor of approving the amended item signify by saying aye.
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 All right. All those in favor, all those who want to vote no, say nay. Nay. All right, that's 4 ayes and 1 no. The motion carries. This will go to the full city council tomorrow for a vote. All right. Thank you. Next is item D, partial payout for New Street. This is for $284,092.00. This is for work that happened already on New Street. Eric, if you wanted to talk more about this, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Alderman. So I think you gave a great summary, though. This is for the New Street Reconstruction project. It's a partial payout of all the major work, really, except for the retention release and some minor finishing work that we identified in the punch list. But this is the major payout for this project, and the rest is minor finishing work that should be done this spring. Oh, and
Right.
also that is from TIF 5. This was a TIF
Okay, are there any questions regarding this?
This is Alderman Alexander. I have a question. Eric,
Sure, go ahead.
like this job and every other job, I'm going to make sure that I have confidence in knowing that this job is approved by Robertson Engineer. Everything of the punch list has been done, and we foresee no issues regarding this particular job.
Alderman Alexander, I understand 100%. We did a punch list inspection prior to the winter shutdown, and that was Robinson Engineering and Public Works, and we will do the same thing. There's still some minor work to be completed on the slope wall and some stuff that we identified in the punch list. We will ensure that all of that work is completed according to the project plans prior to recommending any sort of retention release.
Okay, so this is only going to be a partial. This is not for the final payout. And before the final is issued, everything on that punch list has been corrected and identified as complete.
That's That's correct, Alderman Alexander.
All right, are there any other questions? No, is there a motion to approve item 3D?
I'll make the motion, Klinker.
Motion by Alderman Klinker, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Alexander. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, sounds like it is unanimous. The ayes have it. Motion's carried. Will be reported to the full city council. All right, next, Grove Street resurfacing final payout. This is in the amount, I believe it was $5,307.93. Eric, would you like to add anything or elaborate further?
Yes, for sure, Alderman. So this is a project that was completed in the fall of 2017. Fall of 2017, winter of 2018. This is just a retention release for deconstruction for the project, which has been completed and punch list signed off, and all the landscaping is signed off. And yep, that's it.
All right, any questions from the committee? I know probably I think what Alderman Alexander just said probably holds true again, but if she wants to add anything else, or if anyone else wants to add anything else.
Yes, of course, I would love to add something else. Eric, just to make sure that we don't have a repeat, if there are any issues regarding this particular job, that you will contact the subcontractors and contractors to make sure everything is resolved if we foresee any issues in the future, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I think this project, Alderman Alexander, is actually old enough that the guarantee period has run out for it, which is typically a year after construction. But regardless of the time frame that it elapsed, if there were any issues, and this is Grove Street between the railroad tracks, and I think if there were any issues with the new construction, we would for sure follow up with the contractors, the general contractor and the subcontractors involved.
Alderman Donahue, I got a question.
Go ahead, Alderman Bilotto.
What sewers are these? I know we did the northeast section year before. What section of town are these?
Oh, sorry, it took me a second to unmute. Alderman Bilotto, are we talking about the 2020?
The sewer thing we just did for 180,000. What neighborhood is that?
Yep. Okay. So we have this divided up into, in my mind, these are divided up into three areas. The first area, the area out of the general, that would have come out of the water sewer fund, is the area bounded by Western Avenue and Vincennes Road between 127th Street and 123rd Street. I kind of call it like the north central neighborhood, where we're going to be resurfacing Collins Street with the CDBG project. And that's the first area, if you could imagine it. The second area is just north of the canal along Vermont Street, Hoyne, and I think that's, oh, I can't read the map. I think it's the street just north of the canal, sorry. So the third area is in TIF 5, kind of in the, on Vermont Street and
Grove Street.
Grove Street, thank you. No, it's not Grove, because we did Grove. It's the street south of Grove.
And IDOT just did Vermont.
Fulton?
IDOT can't clean the catch basins on Vermont. This is the mainline sewer.
What side of Western are you on, east or west? There's James Street on the west, which is north of the canal.
We're east of Western in TIF 5, so between Irving, I think it's Fulton. That's what it is, Fulton. Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's not being repaved or anything, though, right?
No, this is just it's regularly scheduled sewer maintenance.
Okay.
And then the last area is in TIF 2 and TIF 5, which is bounded by Broadway Street to the north and 135th Place to the south. And then it's the area between Packard Drive and Division Street.
My neighborhood. Okay, nice to know now. I'm glad I voted for it then, I guess. Should have asked.
Okay.
All right.
All right, are there any questions back to where we were at on 3, any other questions on 3E for the Grove Street resurfacing, the final payout?
I just have a comment on Grove and also new. I think they were done. Well, Grove was in my ward. I think Grove was done satisfactory. Alderman Alexander. It was done last year, and so far I drive it and take walks with the kids every day while we're on quarantine, and I haven't seen any issues. I would have brought them up by now if I did, at least for Grove Street.
All right, if there's nothing else, is there a motion to approve the final payout for Grove Street?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Alderman Alexander. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Alderman Klinker. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. If there's any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. That will be reported to the full city council. All right. Moving along. Any aldermanic concerns or comments from members of the committee?
Yeah, Klinker, I just have one quick comment, actually a compliment. I just want to compliment Topeka. I've been asking her, I've emailed her for a lot of different information in the couple short months that she's been here, and she's very prompt with getting me everything that I've asked for, which is a lot more than I got last time I asked with the previous finance person. So thanks, Topeka. Keep up the good work.
You're welcome, Alderman Klinker. I appreciate it. I really do. It means a lot to me.
All right. Anything else?
Yeah, this is Alderman Johnson.
Yeah, go ahead, Alderman Johnson.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about us running out of money, especially like for training and things like that for the police, fire, and as well as public works, especially with this coronavirus. Do we have a separate fund or is finances earmarked for those things, especially like with the fire and ALS, because the whole department has to be able to be ALS certified for us to be able to do it. In the wake of, this coronavirus, especially with the traffic tickets that the judges are now stagnated because of the Illinois standard and training, they're running out of money. So do we have anything in place for that?
Can you repeat what can you just repeat your question? I know there's some other stuff in there, but what was the question?
Do we have money for training and things of that nature for our fire, police, and public works in the wake of the coronavirus?
Yeah, I know we kind of talked about this earlier in the beginning of the meeting with our training budget. So I believe we have money available. I think we're still waiting to see what the actual revenue impacts are, to see where we're actually at on collecting the money we have to possibly spend.
Alderman Donahue, I remember we beefed up the training budget. I know in police and fire, I know a lot more in police because of the cannabis and I don't think we even touched any of that yet. So I know we beefed it up multiple times what it was last year. So it's a start, Alderman Johnson. Now, as a school administrator, there isn't really any trainings yet available for the COVID-19 as we've been looking for something to send our teachers and administrators to, and there's nothing even available yet. But I know we did beef up the training budget substantially over our budget process. I'd like to say it was like from $5,000 to $30,000 or something like that.
Yeah, and if we need to move money around, we obviously can to do that, but I think we just need to still kind of sit and wait a little bit to see where we're at with these revenues.
Yeah, but my question was, too, as well as with the fire with the ALS, is because we don't have an emergency room anymore with Metro South. So from right now, besides the coronavirus, heart attack, stroke, whatever, it's a matter of seconds for people to be able to live or die from getting from Christ Memorial or Ingalls. That was my question on that. My second question was about last week's conversation about the Tahoes and the investigation, and that we paid out money to I'm just going to say it, Acosta for doing nothing, because the only question they asked was the same things that we already knew to the same people, Clerk Hoyser and Kerry Horvath. That stuff we already knew, and we paid these people over $8,000 for nothing. That's ridiculous.
All right, thank you, Alderman.
Alderman Donahue, if I could.
Right, but what I'm saying, going further, we shouldn't pay them a doggone dime for nothing. They doing nothing.
Alderman Donahue.
Alderman, I disagree with you, but your opinion's noted, and I got it. That's fine. I disagree, so we're just gonna have to agree to
how do you
disagree.
disagree for them not producing anything? They haven't produced nothing, and we're paying them.
I submitted you what they've been working on.
You submitted me some garbage. That's what you submitted me, garbage. The same thing they asked. I could have sat down and asked Kerry Horvath the same questions that he submitted already previously to those people, as well as Randy had already given us the same statements to each and every one of us. So they have not come up with nothing concrete, nothing different than we already know. And we done gave them $8 grand.
Alderman, they're not finished yet, and they're spending $15,000. Our general
okay, but they haven't done anything, Kevin.
$50,000 a month, so they're not done with.
They haven't done anything.
I think
they haven't done anything.
Alderman, I think you need to be patient.
No, I don't need to be patient, and we still paying these people from January, and they haven't done anything.
Alderman, if you don't like it, vote no.
No, I do not like it. No, I do not like it.
And I'm going to vote yes.
No, I'm going to do more than vote no, Kevin, for you guys to spend taxpayers' money on nothing. And we ain't hurting right now.
Nothing. That's again.
We are. They haven't discovered nothing that we already don't know. Nothing. But we gave them $8 grand.
Alderman, all right. Thank you, Alderman. I appreciate your comment. Again, we disagree, and that's fine. We're going to disagree on this. So anything else from the committee?
If I may just add to the investigation, because I've been dealing with Mr. Acosta. The reason why that we've hit a little bit of a roadblock is because Mr. Horwath has not agreed to sit for an interview by the investigators. Additionally, we are trying to get the mayor to sit for an interview by the investigators. I would propose to the council that perhaps something good that could be done would be to direct the mayor and Mr. Horvath to sit for interviews with the investigators.
It's an open investigation already federally. They need to come up with a solution to spending our taxpayers' money on things that we already know. Stop playing with us.
The solution.
Some of us can think outside the box.
The solution would be to have everyone participate with the investigation in their fullest, but that's not happening right now.
You cannot discover anything that the feds are already, the feds is already involved in this. He has not produced anything that we do not already know.
Dexter, this is Kerry Horvath, or members of the committee, this is Kerry Horvath. I'm not going to dignify what Mr. Scarlato said with a response, nor do I want to dignify this, quote, investigation with any type of interview for anybody. I've already explained to the city council what I know. I sat down with the city council, provided them with a written report, and offered to discuss it with the city council, at which point in time the city council said they were not interested in talking about it. You have the information I need. I don't need Mr. Scarlato, who has come in at a very, very late date and probably knows virtually nothing about this, to make some sort of a comment about me or whether I should or should not participate. That's all I have to say at this point in time, and that's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Another expenditure of taxpayers' money.
All right, great. Thank you. Moving along, is there any other comments or questions?
I do have one question, Kevin, and that is with respect to the resolution that you're going to propose concerning the hiring freeze. And will that also pertain to, the fire and police, or is that just for Public Works and non-union personnel?
It applies to everybody.
Was there any
Across the board.
discussion with either union about that? The MAP union for the police or the Bilotto professional firefighters for the fire?
There wasn't.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything else from members of the committee? No? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Bilotto, second by Alderman Klinker. Just really quick before we take the roll on that. Our next meeting is going to be Monday, May the 4th. So all in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, meeting's adjourned. We'll see everyone next week, May the 4th at 6 p.m. Thank you.